Hello there guys, Dave Nate right here, and today I got another review for you. Now, this time I'm going to be talking about a manga, but right before I start talking about it, I just want to say I have never watched the show Dragon Ball Z, nor have I watched the Dragon Ball show that came up before Dragon Ball Z, or watched any of the movies. I've never really been a huge fan of Dragon Ball, and there is some anime that I watch, and there have been some anime movies that I've really loved, that I'll probably talk about sometime in the future, but you know, I've never actually gotten around to watching Dragon Ball Z. But finally, you know, after years and years of friends and seeing all kinds of videos on YouTube about how awesome Dragon Ball is, I was like, you know what? I'm finally going to check out Dragon Ball. However, I didn't want to watch the show because I didn't feel like listening to Vegeta, what does the scouter say about his power level? Or, you know, probably a bad impression, but so I decided to get the manga, and this is what I'm reviewing today. Now this is book 1 of the manga. This is volumes 1 through 3. If I'm not mistaken, there are 42 volumes of the original Dragon Ball manga. Each is made up of about a dozen or more tales or chapters in the manga, which were originally just their own little sections of Weekly Shonen Jump magazine, where this manga was published originally, back when it started, back in 1984. Now, as I said, it's 3 volumes in one, and I'm not really going to talk a whole lot about the plots of the other two. I'm just going to talk about the first one, and, well, and we'll go from there in the review. But anyway, so basically it's about this kid named Goku. He ends up running into this chick named Bulma, and she's searching with this device called Dragon Radar to look for the 7 Dragon Balls. Now these are these mystical spherical objects that if you collect them all and bring them all together, then a dragon appears and grants you 1 wish. Not 3 wishes, 1 wish. And, well, Bulma convinces Goku to go along with her and go off on this adventure, and they end up encountering other certain characters that they bring along for the ride, and certain bad people, and friendships arise, and new enemies come to, you know, hate them, and voila, you got a big adventure. And yeah, Dragon Ball, crazy popular. I mean, I've been hearing about it for years now, and finally I was like, you know what, screw it, I'm gonna read. Yeah, this was awesome. I really should have read this earlier. I mean, I'm not just saying that. I mean, seriously, this was really funny. Like, this doesn't have a whole lot of action in it. That's what surprised me a little bit. It's not so much action as it is comedy. There is some action, and what action there is very well drawn. And in fact, just all of the art in this book is fantastic. I mean, hold on, all of the art is like quirky and cool looking, and the facial expressions of the characters is great, very well drawn. And I love the designs of the characters, but there's some like legitimately pretty art in this book at times. I mean, like just right there. I mean, that's just like a beautiful drawing, I think. And yeah, there's just some excellent art in this book. I mean, all throughout. It's just, it looks great, and, well, yeah, it's just, it's a really, really good looking manga. So if nothing else, even if I didn't like it, I can never complain and say that the art looks bad, because it doesn't. It looks fantastic. It's very well drawn by Akira Toriyama, the writer and, of course, illustrator of this manga series. And, so yeah, and what was I saying before I cut myself off and started talking about there? Oh yeah, it's not so much action, and what action there is very well drawn, but it's mainly a comedy. And the comedy works really well. This is very clever. There's more sexual humor than I would have expected. Like, it kind of surprised me at times. I was like, whoa, okay, I thought this was like targeted at kids. No, it's targeted at teenagers. That's why there's like the T rating there. Parental guidance suggested or whatever, but anyway, so yeah, it was more mature than I would have expected. I'm not complaining though, it is funny, it's very funny. And yeah, just like Goku is a very lovable character. I can understand now why so many people get very heated over the debate between who would win a fight between Goku and Superman. Yeah, I love Goku now, and I can't wait to read more of him. I am definitely going to review more of these mangas and read them and reread them more than likely, and yeah, Goku is a great character. He's an idiot. He's very stupid, but he's so likable, and he's just very funny and clever, and he's so confused about things. Like, when he first meets Bulma, he doesn't know what she is. Like, he's like, like, he doesn't even know what a girl is, and he keeps on getting confused, and throughout specifically throughout the first volume, he's like trying to decide, he's like, wait, so is that a guy or a girl? And it's like very obviously a girl, but he's like, you know, that's just a small example. Like, and there's a whole lot of very funny and very original humor in this. I mean, like, stuff gets pretty ridiculous and crazy, and you know, like, there's just completely absurd things happen, but it's so ridiculous that it's really funny. And also, just like, I mean, there's certain tales in this, or chapters. They're called tales, but anyway, so there's certain tales in this to where, like, I mean, you know, it starts out seeming like it's going to be a perfectly run-of-the-mill chapter of this adventure story, but then it just completely turns on its head and gets ridiculous, and it's like, what the crap is going on? But it's so entertaining and really, really funny all throughout that it just completely works. And what I loved is in the second volume, they started bringing in a lot more like self-referential humor and fourth wall breaking humor into this. Like, there's a couple parts to where they acknowledge the fact that they're in a comic book, which was pretty funny. You know, some nice Deadpool moments there. I know Deadpool isn't the first thing to break the fourth wall, I'm just saying. Anyways, but yeah, so that was very funny. However, probably my favorite volume in all of this was Volume 3. Volume 3 is Goku and not a playmate, no, Goku and a fellow student, Kuririn, probably pronounced that wrong, being trained by Kame Sennin, who's just this master who wears a turtle shell on his back, and yeah, they want to go into this martial arts tournament, and now he's training them to become just these terrific martial artists, and he puts them through this training, and it was just very interesting to see. They're definitely, like, you know, it feels like it's thrown back to the Karate Kid to a certain extent. However, actually, no, that's right, the original tales in the manga were written in 1984. No, Volume 3 is written around 1986, so yeah, it was probably taking some reference or some inspiration from the Karate Kid. I could be wrong, but it reminded me of the Karate Kid for sure. Only taken to the nth degree, and it's much more ridiculous and unrealistic than that. But yeah, like, the tests that they have to go through is very interesting and very funny and entertaining to watch, and it's all well drawn, of course. It's just great, and I love the character of Kame Sennin. He's a pervert, but he's really funny about it, and like Bulma, complete brat, but she's like, there's the perfect balance of her just being like just a complete brat and very, you know, overzealous about herself, but she's very funny at the same time, so you don't even care, and she's just a great character. Every single character is great. Yamcha as well. Yamcha is hilarious in this. I mean, like, he's just, when he first comes into the scene, like, he just seems like a complete badass. Turns out there's more to it than that, and he has a certain issue about him that he kind of has to, you know, solve about himself. I don't want to say what it is just in case you haven't read the Dragon Ball manga, or watched the show, because I'm not sure how accurate the Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z shows are to the manga, but anyway, so yeah, it's just, all the characters are great, it's very well written, very well drawn, it's very fast-paced. My only problem, and this is, okay, this really is just a nitpick, but I can't help it. I mean, let's see if I can, like, flip to a part that's an example, like, well, basically, whatever. Throughout the manga, just almost constantly, there are characters will be like, what's going on? Like, they stutter a lot, and it wouldn't really bother me, because, I mean, there's constantly, as I said, there's crazy stuff happening, and just all of a sudden this stuff happens, and people are just like, what? But the thing is, like, that happens, like, every other line of dialogue is someone, like, stuttering their words because they're so surprised. And it gets kind of repetitive after a while. This is probably just me, I don't know. But it just got a little bit old, a little bit fast after a while. They should have, you know, Akira Toriyama should have used that a little bit more sparingly. But then again, each chapter in this was written, like, over the course of a week. And, like, this was originally just each thing was published in the weekly Shonen Jump magazine. So, really, I mean, the only reason that I even feel this problem is just because of the fact that it's a manga and reading all these stories back to back to back to back, because it's like a graphic novel when it's compiled together like this. But nonetheless, it did kind of bother me over a while, and also, I can't quite get this rating up to my highest rating, but I am going to give Dragon Ball an A. It's close to an A+. It's a great manga. I love it. I love book 1 of this manga here, but I can't quite get it to an A+. It's still terrific, though, and I highly recommend you read it. If you haven't read it already, you Probably have. I mean, a lot of people have at this point, or you probably at least watched one of the shows. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please rate and comment and subscribe. And if you want to, you can also share. Goodbye.